A girl reincarnated as a cursed cat unexpectedly fell into the hands of a paranoid tyrant, becoming the warm bed cat that sleeps with the tyrant every night. She didn't know that she transformed into a woman when she fell asleep. He was dumbfounded, thinking, "Where did my cat go?" She thought she would either be the protagonist or the villainess in this reincarnation, but after being picked up by a man, she realized she had turned into a cat when she meowed. It wasn't just transforming into an adult as she expected. The man in front of her, with black hair and red eyes symbolizing royal blood, was undoubtedly the crown prince of the empire and also the only paranoid tyrant in the novel. The man curiously examined the creature in his hand, thinking it was unique. The girl, however, was thinking, is he going to kill me? In the 21st century, cats were the most beloved pets, but in this novel, they were not only cursed and considered ominous, but also believed to bring about the empire's downfall. The greatest emperor of the empire, Kilian, received an oracle at the empire's founding, instructing him to eradicate all cats. For hundreds of years, not a single cat hair had been seen in the empire. According to his education, cats were vicious beasts, and the prophecy of the empire's downfall wouldn't spare even a cat. The poor cat thought she had nothing to do with the misdeeds of other cats. "Your Highness, I'm actually a person." She meowed persistently, but the prince couldn't understand her meows. He muttered to himself, "This wild creature is a cat. All cats in the empire have been eradicated." She didn't expect him to recognize her so quickly. The girl continued, "Let's make a deal. I can predict the future." The prince stared at the meowing cat for a moment and then quietly put her in his pocket, sneaking her back to his room. He curiously examined the creature he brought back, becoming interested in this soft and cute little cat. Unlike the description in the book, it didn't have sharp fangs or dangerous-looking claws. Maybe it was just a young kitten, or perhaps it was hiding its vicious nature to appear harmless and confuse others. Clearly, the crown prince regarded her as a scheming cat. The cat felt aggrieved and whimpered a few times, appearing quite cute. They looked at each other for a moment. The prince said, "Front paw." She obediently raised her paw to shake hands. He said, "Roll over." So she rolled over. She extended her squishy little paw for a high five. He then said, "Bite my finger." The cat hesitated, thinking, "What's wrong with him? If I bite him, he'll surely use that as an excuse to kill me." Finally, she kissed the crown prince's little finger. The moist and warm touch felt strange to him. Through these tests, he concluded that this cat could understand human language. Looking at the delicious food on the table, the prince began to worry about what food this little creature should eat. The girl thought, "He's treating me like an animal." However, she could be sure that the crown prince currently had no intention of killing her, or else he wouldn't have prepared food for her. Carefully sizing him up, she guessed he was around 18 or 19 years old. The original novel mentioned that he ascended to the throne as emperor shortly after reaching adulthood. He carefully poured a bowl of milk for her. She only then remembered that cats could get diarrhea from drinking human milk. But hungry as she was, she quickly dismissed this thought and focused on eating first. The milk tasted so good. Holding the plate, she greedily sucked it up, disregarding her dignity. After finishing, the prince kindly wiped her mouth. He was curious about how this weak little thing could kill. The cat didn't know either. Just then, a voice outside the door said, "Your Highness, excuse me for the interruption." Sensing someone about to enter, the man swiftly stuffed her into his pocket, causing the cat some pain with his rough actions. She pricked up her furry ears to listen to what was happening outside. A woman said, "I heard you haven't had much appetite recently. You enjoyed the food I made yesterday, so I'm very happy." Recognizing the familiar lines, the cat remembered her as the countess who had been poisoning the Emperor Kilian's food and was also the current emperor's only mistress. Although innocent-looking on the outside, she harbored enormous ambitions and was a malicious person who gradually added dark magic to Kilian's food, taking advantage of his addiction to control him after he ascended the throne. The woman continued, "I'm afraid you won't eat properly, so I wanted to make sure you finished before leaving. Besides, it's His Majesty's order." Kilian replied coldly, "It seems I have to eat the food to shut you up." He glanced disdainfully at the woman's chatter, sighed in resignation, and was about to eat. The cat in the pocket was fuming. She couldn't bear to watch him eat the food made by the evil woman. Helpless, she resorted to a desperate move, revealing her sharp claws and scratching vigorously 300 times. Outside, the crown prince felt that immediately. His big hand quickly controlled the mischievous little cat. But that didn't mean she would behave. With a swipe, the back of his hand felt a sharp pain, and the prince's face darkened. There were 3 bloody wounds on his hand. Using the excuse of not wanting to eat, he dismissed the countess. Then, with a stern face, he took out the mischievous cat from his pocket and said, "Hey, do you see the wounds on my hand?" The cat panicked. With a strong will to survive, she quickly explained, "It wasn't me who bit you. I did it to save you." After meowing a lot, she realized that the man couldn't understand cat language at all. Seeing the man's increasingly angry face, she felt that her cat life was about to end completely. She regretted stopping him from eating just now, but as a cat with a sense of justice, even if she was afraid of him, she couldn't just sit by and watch. She had to find a way to prevent this from happening. Little did she know, the other person was just gently stroking her fur. He said, "It was my sudden act of putting you in my pocket that scared you. I'll let you out now. Don't scratch me again." The girl thought. Just now he looked so fierce, like he wanted to eat her. She didn't expect him to let her go so easily. Seeing him pick up the spoon to continue eating, her brain raced to think of a plan. Wait a minute. She got an idea. She targeted the plate of braised pork ribs in front of her. With a reckless leap, she grabbed his arm and meowed repeatedly. Then she dashed towards the tempting ribs, pointing at the meat and meowing incessantly. It was like talking to a brick wall. He really couldn't understand what this cat was up to. The desperate cat eventually resorted to a universal language, pretending to eat the food and then pretending to collapse as if poisoned. The prince seemed to understand a bit and asked her, "Can't eat this food?" Yes, that's what she meant. The little cat nodded frantically. He whispered, "My mind is a bit confused. Point out all the inedible food." Almost half of the food was marked as inedible. Based on the cat's body language just now, he deduced that eating these dishes would cause poisoning. He couldn't help but wonder how a cat had the talent to recognize poisons. He never imagined she wasn't just an ordinary cat, but a person in cat form. It was clear the crown prince had no intention of killing her. She would have to work hard to win his favor in the future. No one could resist such an adorable and lovely little cat. The man, seeing her cute appearance, paused for a moment and then laughed. She thought, he really laughed. At that moment, the emperor ordered him to go to the study. His face darkened instantly. After settling the cat in the room, Kitten hurried to see the emperor. Before leaving, he instructed her to stay here obediently and not go anywhere. Late at night, the man returned with a tired body, covered in multiple injuries. After taking a bath, he came out to find the cat still waiting for him, feeling a warmth in his heart. The cat rubbed against his hand affectionately, showing her love. Due to exhaustion, he lay down to rest early, cautioning the little cat not to fall off the bed. She suddenly smelled the scent of blood on Killian's body and recalled from the original novel how he had been frequently punished by the emperor since childhood. This made her understand why the emperor had summoned him tonight. She had always thought the male lead in the novel was expressionless, just to look cool until she saw Killian's plight, which saddened her deeply. The bloody smell in the cold air was suffocating. She didn't know what she could do for him. The prince, half asleep and half awake, thought he was having a nightmare again. But when he looked again, he found a woman lying next to him, in his arms. The real sensation shocked him, and he sat up suddenly. The cat that had been sleeping soundly in his arms disappeared, replaced by a strange, white-haired woman. It was his first time seeing a cat, and unlike the vicious ones in drawings, this one was cute and lovable. The correct action would be to kill her on the spot, but he felt a pang of sympathy. Killing her would weigh heavily on his conscience. Curious about how a cat, extinct for centuries, could appear in the palace garden, he observed that this little thing was not only cute, but also telepathic, understanding human speech. Despite being weak and unable to protect herself, she bravely stood up to save him from poisoning, and she was the only cat waiting for him to return, staying by his side until he fell asleep and healing his wounded soul. He thought, even if she's a monster, she belongs to me personally, and I won't allow this woman to touch my things. He sternly said, "Get up immediately." But the girl didn't take his anger seriously and continued sleeping deeply. This infuriated him, and he shook her forcefully. Finally, the woman groggily opened her eyes. Suddenly, a dazzling white light flashed, and the woman turned into a dumbfounded cat. The crown prince was stunned. This was more bizarre than magic tricks. The cat woke up with a yawn, scolding him for disturbing her sleep at this late hour. Little did she know, she lifted her head and saw the man's fierce gaze on her. Did she accidentally kick him while sleeping, or did she touch his wound? The prince furrowed his brows and asked, "Who are you?" Noticing that she looked very cat-like, he asked such a silly question. He repeated, "Are you a cat? Really a cat?" He wasn't sure, asking twice. She replied, "Yes, I am a cat. This is your first time seeing a cat." She suspected that the accumulation of dark magic inside him had caused his mind to deteriorate and babble nonsense. He continued to question, "Confess your identity now, and I may spare your life." With some seductive moves, she showcased her charm as a cat. Cute, right? Unexpectedly, he remained indifferent to her actions, shattering the cat's dignity. Since being cute didn't work, she tried to act cute and licked his fingers. The ticklish feeling made him shiver. It seemed to work. Finally giving up on interrogating her, the cat could finally sleep comfortably. But as soon as she lay down, the crown prince covered her with a blanket. Though unsure of the reason, it felt warm and comforting. Soon, she drifted off to sleep in the warm covers. What's going on? The white-haired woman from earlier suddenly reappeared. According to what he knew, cats were dangerous monsters that caused the destruction of the empire. Therefore, he needed to find a way to eliminate them completely. He couldn't understand the origin of this cat. Even if it survived, the empire remained unharmed, which contradicted his knowledge. Cats turning into humans was never mentioned in any literature. He felt this matter was not simple and that someone deliberately concealed history. In the future, as the emperor of the empire, he would uncover this secret. He gently lifted a strand of white hair from the woman. This cat must not be discovered or taken away by others. It belonged only to him. However, the most important thing now was to find clothes for her to wear. The next morning, the cat slowly opened her eyes. Since becoming a cat, she had become increasingly fond of sleep. After looking around and not seeing Killian, she tried to get out of bed but felt something pulling her leg. Looking down, she realized her hind legs were firmly tied with a rope, and the perpetrator was the handsome man in front of her. "Don't even think about escaping. Let's have breakfast first," he said, offering her a cup of warm milk. The paranoid lines from the male lead made the cat unable to resist mocking him. She sniffed his scent and still detected a strong smell of blood. Unexpectedly, the cat suddenly went crazy and pounced on him, tearing off the beautiful bow he had tied and causing his clothes to slide off. The prince immediately panicked and grabbed the mischievous cat, clawing at his chest. The cat, feeling wronged, meowed in protest. When she saw the numerous wounds on him, she was shocked. He was the empire's top martial artist, yet he was beaten up so badly. Was he so stupid as to not resist and just endure abuse? The cat felt extremely distressed and angry, clawing and meowing furiously. The prince gently patted her head to calm her down. It turned out she was angry for him. Being cared for by the cat, he couldn't help but show a long-lost smile. Her actions were no different from a human's, yet she seemed to genuinely believe she was a cat. Was she confusing him or completely unaware herself? Killian said, "Let's go out together. There's something I need to buy." This was the cat's first time riding in a carriage. Her eyes gleamed as she looked outside, seeing the world from the novel come to life. However, before she could enjoy it, she was picked up by someone who warned her not to stretch out her claws and to be careful not to fall. They soon arrived at their destination, a famous clothing store. The cat wondered why he needed to buy clothes and why he brought her along. Upon entering the store, he noticed exquisite masks displayed on the side. The shopkeeper explained they were for a masked ball at the palace. The cat speculated it was an event where Killian would meet the female lead. The novel had many foreshadowings. After dismissing the shopkeeper, he softly said, "You can come out now, little cat." She peeked out, seeing a dazzling array of luxurious dresses. Not understanding female preferences, he let the cat choose her own clothes. The cat was stunned, thinking, why is the crown prince buying women's clothes? Is he giving them to Countess Gisela, who poisoned him? Although the countess was easy to fall in love with and was only 3 years older than him, they were supposed to be sworn enemies. Could it be she cooked for him every day, and then he fostered deep feelings for her? While the cat was lost in thought, the prince had already selected some gifts. She tried to stop the foolish boy's misguided intentions. Killian said, "You don't want me to buy it? But I really need it." Why wasn't he listening to her? The cat puffed up in anger. The prince instantly understood and teased. "Are you jealous because you think it's not for you?" Being seen through, the cat blushed and turned her cat face away. He laughed, realizing that she, too, didn't know she turned into a person while sleeping. Now, only he knew this secret, which was quite amusing. After getting on the carriage, the cat noticed his smug expression, as if he was hiding some earth-shattering secret. Instinctively, as a cat, she became alert. When she heard him invite her to eat snacks, her eyes lit up, and she happily indulged. Noticing he was staring at her, she generously offered him the other half she hadn't eaten. He said, "You should eat more." Killian pampered her, stroking her fur. She was so immersed in the sensation that she almost forgot to be vigilant. She realized they were not heading back to the palace. The prince informed her they were going somewhere to confirm something and assured her that he wouldn't be harmed no matter what happened. The cat's tail immediately went into alert mode. He was definitely planning something. The man gently comforted her, and soon the cat relaxed her vigilance and fell asleep gradually. In an instant, a sleeping white-haired woman appeared in his arms. Killian thought to himself how fortunate he was to have prepared a blanket beforehand. Otherwise, it would have been embarrassing. In the Empire, magic was considered an evil symbol, and magicians were heavily discriminated against. To uncover the strange phenomena on this cat, no, this woman, he had to withstand the pressure and personally seek out a magician. When the cat woke up, she found herself in his pocket. She didn't know where the crown prince was taking her, but it seemed they had arrived. A respectful old man greeted Celian, saying, "It's an honor for us to see your highness in this lifetime." However, a young man remarked, "Magicians are banished to the remote Winston region, abandoned by the royal family." The sudden visit of the crown prince is quite shocking. The prince calmly said, "You seem resentful." The elder immediately scolded his son for being rude and apologized to Killian. Although Killian understood their resentment towards the royal family, there was an important matter that needed confirmation. He took out the palm-sized cat from his pocket. This adorable little cat terrified the old men present. They never expected the small thing the crown prince brought would be such a terrifying cat. With everyone's attention on her, the cat felt shy. Killian said, "Please find out the curse on this cat no matter what means necessary." The cat suddenly remembered from the original novel that the purple-haired man was a young magician who rebelled in the latter part. They were meeting earlier than expected. The novel had undergone earth-shattering changes, which meant she could not accurately predict future events anymore. Everyone unanimously believed that the cat was an ominous creature and must be killed to avoid misfortune. Suddenly, a sharp sword thrust towards her.